Okay, let's move on to the another section. Another quick thing I want to do is maybe have these texts that are up here that are bold to be more emphasized. And one way you can emphasize this even more is by changing the color of this text. So let's add that gray color to this. And it's just going to bring out that black more because the contrast is going to be slightly stronger on it. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's go back here and let's identify where our text is. So this was after and somewhere here in the hero. So hero introduction P. Okay, so here I just want to make sure to add that gray text. Now we can use that variable that we created. So we can just say color and we can say var, and up here we can just add the dash dash. And here what we can do is say gray text. This is the one we used. Hit save. Let's see if that worked. And that worked wonderfully. So as you can see now, this pops out more. And again, the benefit of using this variable, if I quickly just copy this and paste it maybe to the A tag, let's take a look here, color A tag. Okay. So now this has a color of gray. So now take a look everywhere I apply this, I can just easily go here to the gray text. And if I change this, everything will be affected that I added that thing on top. So even this, as you can see. Okay, so that's the cool thing about variables. Okay, let's switch this back. On the anchor tag, actually, let's leave that off. And for some reason, it turned blue. Wiry blue. Okay, so we still need to add a color to it. So let's do black. Because by default, the anchor tags are that wonderful blue color. Who came up with that? Okay, perfect. So let's move on to another section. Again, these are the other sections that we're going to create are going to be surprisingly easy compared to everything that we did here, which are the animations and this bar that pops up here. It's quite complicated. So don't worry if you were struggling on that because it's quite difficult to do. Okay, so let's move on and add another section. So let's go back to our HTML here, index.html. All right, we'll leave everything here. Let's scroll all the way down below this section. Okay, so what we're gonna do is create an about section. Hit tab. So let me kind of show you what I have here. It's basically this section. Okay, so we need an image and we need some text on this side. So again, it's kind of like a 2-div layout and we just add display flex and that's about it. So let's create an about image. All right, I'm using the same name here, basically about, and then just adding a dash. I'm going to specify what this container has inside. Also, let's use section here so we don't have a bunch of divs laying around. Okay, and here I'll just add something like a h5. This is not that important at all, so I'll just add minimal there as a text, and let's drop in an image that's going to have a source of image about image. Okay, and let's name this portrait picture. Lovely. Okay, let's go outside of this about image div. We're going to create another one called about text like this. Hit tab, enter, and in here I want to have a h2 Chloe Jill. All right, or we can do Alina Joy. Actually, this is me, so let's do Alina Joy. I'm not sure why I named that Chloe Jill, but and here what I want to do is I'm just going to have this h2 here and I'm going to make these smaller sections. So what I'm going to do is create 3 divs. So maybe about life, all right, which is going to be kind of this thing. All right, my life, let's work. Let's add like 3 of them here. Let's just mess around with this. About life, hit tab. It doesn't work. About life. Tab. And I'll just add a h3 here. My life. Again, you can change around the content here. It doesn't really matter. And a p tag that's going to say lorem 20. All right, just some random text. Okay, hit save. Now let's copy this over and let's do it 2 more times, 1 and 2. Hit save. I'm just going to change this to work. And let's change this to my work. And down here, we can change this to maybe maybe about contact or something. Like where can we contact her or how to get in touch with her. Okay, and I'm just gonna say get in touch or something like that. Okay, perfect. Let's hit save. Let's take a look down here and we just have this. So perfect. What I want to do is go to the CSS. So let's go back here. Let's scroll all the way down. All right, let's see right below here. We done our animations. All right, animations, and down here we can create, I'm just gonna add another comment that's gonna say about section. Okay, first thing I want to do is get that about section. Just add a min height to it again of 100 VH, a display flex, and a flex wrap of wrap. Okay, just so all of our content goes side by side. Now this doesn't go side by side yet because we need to add flex 1 to each container so they take up equal amounts of space. Okay, so we can grab the about text. And the other one is about image, I believe. So about image. Like this. All right, this is the about image and this is the about text section. Okay, let's just drop in let's do flex 2, 1, and 40 rem on this one. And let's do 1, 1 on this one. Hit save. And this is what we have. So we basically let the text here take up more space than the picture. Okay, lovely. Now what we want to do is, you know, on the about text, we can actually add that flex helper tool that we created up here, because I do want to add display flex, column, center, center on this. So let's just go back here, about text, and I'll just write flex. And boom, everything got applied. Everything is perfect. Now, if I want to change something about this, maybe I want to change something. Maybe I want these to be spaced around a bit. So I can just go back here, like no problem, go back down to about text, and I can just add a justify content, space around, like that. Hit save, and look at that. Boom, fixed all my issues. And the nice thing is that if you just add justify content space around, if I try to make this smaller or anything, as you can see, it still looks the same. It looks nice and everything works properly. So this is a nice tool that you can use to kind of position. You don't need to add paddings anymore and stuff like that. Okay, let's maximize this. Let's see how this looks. Are we happy with this? Let's close this up. I think we used a background image on top of this, so let's do that as well. So on the about text, I'm just going to add a background of, and I'm going to use that var that we used, and it's going to be background something, background color. Hit save. And obviously we want to change the color to white because we need to have that nice contrast to it. Okay, now this image still doesn't fit this box. One main problem is because we have this text here. So what I want to do, if we take a look here, we basically have this section, right? This about image. As you can see, that stretches the way I want. So that's good. It takes up the whole space. However, we have this text here that kind of makes this image drop down to a new line and it just looks weird. And this image kind of just takes up the size of its original size. So we want to make sure that we say, hey, take up the whole space that you have. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to stretch this image out so it takes the whole space, and we want to move this in here. So if we want to move the text in here, again, we can add position absolute, and we can put it relative to this section right here. Okay, and for the image to stretch, we can just add a width and a height of 100%, and that should work. And again, if the image is going to get stretchy, we can just add that object fit cover, and that's going to fix the stretchiness issue. Okay, so let's take a look. Whoa, what do we have? I don't know anymore. Okay, let's figure everything out. Okay, so let's get the image. Let's go about image. Let's take a look also at the text. What text do we have in here? we have minimal, H5. So we can go down here, we can say about image, H5. Okay, we can do a position absolute. And let's do like a top 20% and left 20%. Hit save. Okay, so it's not here anymore. It goes basically up here because we need to set it relative to this box. So let's find the box that it lies in. It lies in the about image. So about image is here. We just add position relative to this, and then all of our issues are fixed. Okay, so again, now the problem is that this kind of is not perfectly centered here. And again, the problem is when we add this left 50 like this, is it moves 50% this way, which is correct. This is the center of the whole box. So you can imagine like this. We added 50% to this whole big box, which starts here, right? But our content goes in this direction, so it doesn't really look like it. So again, if we add a transform translate and move this back by 50 pixels, transform translate just takes the whole size of this minimal text and then moves it back by 50%. So it moves it back by the size of this. So basically where the I is, that's how much we're going to move it back. So from the M to I, 50% is going to be moved back here, and then it's perfectly going to be centered. To be able to visualize this a bit easily, what we can do is grab that about image like this, and we can add a width of 100%, a height of 100%, hit save. So now it stretches all the way. As you can see, we still have that stretchiness issue like that. So we want to fix that by adding a object fit of cover. Save. And there we go. Problem solved. So as you can see, this, if you like take a look at this whole box, this actually takes up the middle since we added that left 50. Perfectly in the middle here, right, where the text starts. But the content again stretches, so we want to take this content and move it back by 50% of its size. So let's just go here and we can say transform, translate, like this, and the first value is going to be minus 50%, so left and right, and the other one is going to be top and bottom, so minus 20% as well. So now I know exactly that 50% here means that the content is perfectly in the center, and 20% means that it's actually 20% of this whole section. Okay? Okay, everything works perfectly fine. Okay, now what I want to do is actually add a bit of spacing in between these letters, and you can do that by using letter spacing. So if you want to get fancy and make this text look a bit more interesting, you can say letter spacing, and let's do 2 rem. Look at that. We gave a bit more space. It looks more interesting. Okay, cool. Now let's take a look what else we have here. If we full screen this, yeah, I don't really like this whole thing here because it's too perfectly here aligned. I kind of want to have some spacing. As you can see, if you add a bit of spacing, it just looks way better. So let's add some spacing. We can just take these big divs, because if you remember, we have just a few divs here with a H3 and a paragraph. So if we take a look about, as you can see, we have this div, about life, this div, and this div, and this div. Okay, so we just add a padding to those divs and we should be fine. So let's go down, about text. Where's my about text? Here. And I'm just gonna say about text, div, like this. And I'm gonna add a padding. So I want 3 on top and bottom and 10 on left and right. So pretty big spacing there. There we go. So now we have a lot of space here and a lot of space here. Super. When we go smaller, this still looks good, but maybe we can stretch it out a bit on mobile. Yeah, we definitely need to stretch this out on mobile because at kind of this point, it starts looking a bit weird. Even this kind of looks weird and we still didn't make that jump down. So maybe let's do 8. Let's Still want to make it look acceptable till it makes that jump down there. So there we go, that's fine. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so we have that. Now what I want to do is, let's also grab this because this kind of is stuck up there in the corner and I don't like the way that looks. So let's get the about text h3. I'm gonna add a padding, 2 rem, 0 rem, so top and bottom. And let's change the font size of this. Font family, my apologies. Let's do the rule, medium. So we can change these to bold, just brings it out a bit. And this one, so I added the space in between this one. Let's do it with this big one here. That one is the H2. About text H2. Let's do a font family of that vibes and add a padding. Padding of 4 rem. There we go. So just add a bit of space so it's not stuck there in the corner. Okay, there we go. We finished another section. Quite easy. Congratulations. I'm proud of you. Okay, let's fix this as well. Let's go down here. What is this? It's the about div. I'm just gonna copy this from here and bring it down somewhere down here. So even here in the media query, we have an about section. About section. Okay, all I want to do is paste this in and just make this way smaller. 3. Much better. Okay, there we go. Doesn't look terrible anymore. Okay, there we go. I will see you in part 3, where we actually need CSS Grid. So we haven't, you're probably like, Ed, oh my goodness, why are you making me do all of this and teaching me the CSS Grid and we're never using it? Well, look at this, we have this big section. We might not do this because this is actually very easy. If you want to do this, you can do, all you have to do is just add a position absolute and just put it in the center. We might do it, we might see if it looks good or not, but let me turn this off. So, okay, figure this out with Flexbox. It gets super tricky and complicated. So this whole big section, we're gonna do it with CSS Grid, okay? So excited? Let's get going.